Welcome back to Foot in Mouth. It's another international break. I'm not complaining about it this time because I think Arsenal need it. And after this weekend's result, I think it's not just Arsenal that could do with the break. So it's come at a good time, which is nice to say for the change. But we move. The show must go on. I'm still here, going to be making videos in the international break because I am chasing that goal of 200 subscribers by Christmas. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate it. It would help the channel a lot. We have some good football talk here. And in the next few weeks, I am going to try and string together some things and get a guest or two on the show to talk football with me. Because as is football, there's always something to talk about. And this international break is going to be no different. So subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss a drop. And yeah, get in the comments below with your thoughts on everything we do talk about today. We're talking about the weekend's results. A tough weekend, to say the least. You know, Arsenal dropped points in the title race, still league leaders, but they did drop points to Sunderland. Man City won comfortably against Liverpool. I think a lot of people could have seen that result happening, but not quite the way it happened. Liverpool played so badly. We're going to get into that. And then Spurs vs Man United playing out to a 2-2 draw. Another game where the result you probably could see coming, but the way that it happened was kind of cinema, bro. If we think about it, it was a crazy game with some last minute drama and some deja vu for Richarlison, which I do love to see as an Arsenal fan. But we got to start with the biggest of all, which is Man City versus Liverpool. It's a game that was kind of must win for both sides. I think that this was a statement that either side needed to make at this point of the season. You know, Pep Guardiola coming into his 1000th game in charge as a manager. It is crazy the longevity this guy has and everything that he's achieved in that time, which is why there's always that constant question of, is he the GOAT? And I can't lie, up until this weekend, I had always said it's Sir Alex. Sir Alex Ferguson is the GOAT. 1,000 games in, bro, you got multiple trebles under your belt. You have got Premier League dominance under your belt, La Liga dominance, Bundesliga dominance, even though he wasn't even there for that long. I'm giving it to Pep. I think it is a once and for all decided. If ever I'm asked the question again, my answer will be Pep Guardiola. I don't care about how much money he spent. Look at Manchester United. You can always spend money. Doesn't mean it's going to work out. Look at Chelsea. You can always spend money. ... I just think that Pep Guardiola is absolute miracle man, bro. He changed football, and yeah, it's a massive achievement for him to hit, and I think that he was duly rewarded for it with a big win against Liverpool. It wasn't a performance I expected from Man City or Liverpool, to be fair. Man City looked so well put together again. I know that they were picking up momentum again and finding steam, but they looked like they were always at the races, which hasn't been the case. You know, Phil Foden being switched on has changed the game. Jeremy Doku tapping into his inner Diego Maradona has changed the game. Where did that performance come from? I asked us about Conor Bradley not too long ago. Conor Bradley had no chance. And honestly, that's not even any slight on him. Like, Doku was just that good. I think that was one of the best performances we've seen by a winger in the Premier League era. And I don't even think I'm being dramatic about that. Even without his goal, I would have ranked it that highly, bro. He was a beast on the day. And this is a player that I feel like just yesterday, Man City fans would have been quite okay with seeing leave the club or seeing benched. You know, from the outside looking in, even I felt that way. But boy, when he showed up this weekend, he showed like he's 1,000% winning player of the month. He's winning goal of the month probably because it was a world he scored as well. But just overall, if Man City get that out of him consistently, I am more worried than I think I should be for this title race, you know. Or I'm not as worried as I think I should be, sorry. I'm not as worried as I think I should be for this title race because, yeah, Man City look like they are cooking. I know that it's one result, but you don't beat Liverpool 3-0. I don't care who you are, bro. You don't beat Liverpool 3-0. And the fact that they did that and made it look easy because there was a missed penalty. It could have been 4-0. Could have probably been worse if Arne had scored that penalty. That's a worry, you know. That is a big worry. And yeah, I just hats off to Jeremy Doku first off. You know, man of the match by a mile. But I think a close second is Nico Riley. Because you look at Man City's first goal. I'm going to take it back to the first goal. It all starts at the corner flag, Man City's corner flag. And Nico Riley's on the ball, under pressure by Mo Salah of all people. An absolute legend, right? Nico Riley is still fresh in the game. And somehow he keeps his composure, manages to work the ball around Salah, keep the ball in position. Once he gets it to Foden, it's game over. Once he gets it to Foden, Man City go through with one of the most devastating counter-attacks involving like the whole team in the build-up. It was a beautiful goal. Arsene Wenger would be proud. And it was all finished off by Erling Haaland's header, which goes over Mamardashvili, who was rooted to the spot. This goalkeeper is not it. I actually thought that he was going to be a step up on Kelleher. I can't lie. considering what we saw him do for Georgia, in international tournaments. I didn't watch much of his club time before he joined Liverpool. I can't even remember where he joined from, but I know that when we saw him on international duty, he looked like he was world class. I thought that they were buying this guy to be Alisson's eventual replacement. And at the rate things are going, Liverpool are going to need to go into the market for another goalkeeper soon, because Mattijs is not a goalkeeper that's going to win you titles. He's not going to do that for you. And I feel bad saying it because it is still early in his Liverpool career, but what we are seeing does not give confidence, bro. And honestly, I think it's not just him. Obviously, there's a lot of problems at Liverpool right now. There's a lot of problems in their back line, and injuries haven't helped the situation. But a lot of defensive control and structure, I think, comes from the goalkeeper. And if it doesn't come from the goalkeeper, it comes from one of your main centre backs, which should be Virgil van Dijk. He's still looking rattled to me. And when you got someone like Konaté next to you, who had, I think, one of his worst performances in a Liverpool jersey, it just makes things worse. Liverpool also had a goal ruled out, because what would a Premier League game be without PGMOL drama? They actually sent an official complaint to the PGMOL because they felt that it was wrongfully ruled out, and they want an explanation, or at the very least an apology. And you know what? My stance on this: right decision was made. And maybe it's because I've seen this happen to Arsenal, and that's why I'm like, yeah, those are the rules. That's what I was told when I complained about this before. Maybe a stupid rule, but rules are the rules. And Andy Robertson, by all means, you can argue that he wasn't in the way of Donnarumma. He wasn't blocking his view or anything. But I think Andy Robertson pushing Donnarumma all the way to that side of the goalpost, moving himself into an offside position in the process, is one of the situations where it's kind of like, yeah, you make your bed, you sleep in it, bro. You did what you did. These are the consequences. Move on. I think Liverpool are being a bit dramatic sending this inquest. I do appreciate the fact that despite the result, people are still asking questions, because I think a big problem with PGMOL in general and decision making by the refs is because so many of the fans are so tribal that no one really backs another fan base's complaint about a refereeing decision, because they're too busy laughing at them for some weird reason. And I think that this is a situation where, yeah, there are going to be people that chuckle at Liverpool, but even if Liverpool had won this game 3-0, I still feel that an inquiry should be sent in for decisions like that, because things like that do kill the game, and they do cost teams leagues, bro. They cost points. It's a bad domino effect. And yeah, while I don't think that Liverpool should have had that goal count, I think the correct decision was being made. I think it is the correct decision to at least challenge the PGMOL, because yeah, they're a bit of a mafia. But let me know what you think. Should that goal have stood? I genuinely don't think it should have stood. Let me know if you do, because it is a big discussion at the moment. I think overall, it's gotten to the point where Liverpool are kind of played out of the title race. They've already lost more games this season than they did all of last season. We're only 11 games in. I don't think that that's title retaining form. I don't think that's title race form at all. Sunderland are in the top 4. Sunderland look like more genuine top 4 contenders than Liverpool do at the moment. And I think if you take the badges out of it, you'd probably agree with me. So I think Liverpool, they're out of it. Right now, it's damage control. Arne Slot has a lot of moving parts to work together. He needs to get things clicking. I just think that he won't be able to do it in time to mount a serious title challenge. There are a lot of new players at Liverpool, and that's why I don't think that what he's doing is an easy task. I think it's easy to look at the money spent and just expect results, but that's not how football works. So it's not that I don't think he'll ever get it right. I just think that this season is not the one. And at the rate things are going, you can't afford to take any more L's, bro. Last season, we saw Spurs and Man United go on a borderline relegation run. Stranger things have happened in football. Liverpool, with this current form, I wouldn't be surprised if they find themselves out of the top 10 the next 2-3 games after the international break. It's just not clicking for them in the Premier League. In Europe, they're doing fine, though. So Arne Slot at least has some hope there. But in the Premier League, where it really matters, in my opinion, it's just not working out. And when you got clubs like Arsenal leading the way, you got a club like Man City that just beat you 3-0 and do very much look like they are on the up and up, yeah, I think it's just out of your hands. But let me know if you think, has the title absolutely gotten away from Liverpool? And also let me know, who is a bigger threat to Arsenal? I think this question has been thrown around a lot lately, and you could have really picked either, but I've genuinely always felt that it was Man City, and after this weekend, I feel that even more, because Man City, when they start to click, they are unstoppable. If you know, we always say you can't win them all, but I think that Man City are the closest to being able to win them all that we have ever or will ever see in the Premier League. It's a very scary feat trying to stay ahead of them. And yeah, Arsenal have a 4-point cushion, but a 4-point cushion is nothing to Pep Guardiola. Absolutely nothing. We've seen this club go on endless winning streaks. You know what I'm saying? And I think their next run of games, now that they've gotten over the Liverpool hurdle, is pretty decent, all things considered. So Arsenal, next 3 games in the Prem. Look, I'm looking ahead here, but next 3 games in the Prem, we've got Spurs at home. We've got Chelsea as well. So it's going to be tough for Arsenal, the next 3 games. And with Man City right there behind us, it's going to be a lot harder to focus and get the results there. But that's also why I think this break's come at a good time. But yeah, I think of the two, Man City is the one you got to worry about a lot more than Liverpool. Liverpool, they're not going to be able to fix it all. They're not going to fix it all. And Arne Slot's nowhere close to being as good a manager as Pep Guardiola. I think it boils down to those 2 things. But let me know what you think in the comments, especially after this game. You know, like I said, Erling Haaland missed a penalty, but he did get a goal though. And Phil Foden, he's back, and it's a problem. It's a problem. I actually think it's a problem. I'm still backing my boys. I'm still backing Arsenal to win the league, as I always will. We've got a 4-point cushion. You get a cushion so that you can make up for your rivals, picking up steam and getting points. But yeah, as confident as I am, it is dwindling just a little bit with what I'm seeing from Manchester City. But let me know in the comments, do Arsenal have a real reason to be concerned here? The other big game of the weekend was Spurs at home to Man United. It's a grudge match, as I said in the preview show. It's a game that Man United needed to win because they had to right some wrongs of the past. Spurs have had way too much fun with Man United in the last few years. And I really did back United to be able to turn things around in this one. It looked for a second like they might actually be able to do that. They led for most of the game, and then in the 84th minute, Spurs get their first goal. And then in the 91st minute or something, Richarlison gets a second. So now it's 2-1 to Spurs. And then at the death, Mattijs de Ligt comes through with a goal, and Man United fans are borderline asking for a statue of this guy at the stadium at this point, the way they're going on about de Ligt. But I get it, you know, it's football hysteria. This is why we love the game so much. You lose your head for situations like that. And to be fair, de Ligt is having a good season. He's really starting to turn things around since his move from Bayern Munich. I said on the show when they signed him, I didn't think that he was a overall world-class defender, because why would Bayern have sold him? I just think that he was a massive improvement for you in Man United. And it is good to see that he's starting to prove that. But yeah, I think this game, it was a must-win for both as well. You know, same reasons as City and Liverpool. These are statement games. And Man United, you know what? Credit to them. They may not have got a win here, but this draw does mean that they haven't lost in 5 games. Which, when you consider Ruben Amorim's form at the club since he joined, that's kind of a miracle, you know. That is genuinely impressive. So I think that they definitely deserved a point from this game, considering how things played out. But they will be a little bit disappointed, considering how long they had the lead. That being said, though, Spurs at home, they absolutely have to get better. I don't understand how they are this bad at home. It's like home games for them are away games for some reason. So I do think that it's going to be back to the drawing board over the international break for Thomas Frank. What can you do with this team to spice things up a little bit more? I think it's going to be back to the drawing board for Ruben Amorim, because how do you keep the streak going? I think the minute Man United get another loss, that's going to be such a real test for them to see if they can shake it off and just get back to winning or at least drawing. You know, they only got 1 game a week now, no European competition to be playing in, so they can always bet on being fresher than the tougher opponents that they come across this season. But that being said, it's still not going to be a walk in the park. Again, this is football, anything can happen. But yeah, that was a crazy result. 2-2. When I saw the score at 2-1, I thought, okay, yeah, it's done and dusted. But a 96th minute equaliser is always going to get people excited. It is just disappointing to see Spurs get any joy, but I did love Richarlison's deja vu, bro. We saw it against Liverpool, I think in 2023, when he scored a late goal thinking he'd won it, only for his bubble to be burst. It happened again in this game. The scenes were beautiful, and long may it continue. But yeah, I think that after the international break, both of these sides have some serious work ahead of them. Another club that could do with some work is, unfortunately, Arsenal. But that work is going to come in the form of rest. I think these players look gassed, and it was fully evident in the Sunderland game. You know, credit to Sunderland as well. They played a hell of a game. They weren't shy to attack us, and they did exactly that. They got 2 goals for it. Unfortunately, this was also one of those games, you know. I think this game was, the result was equal parts down to Sunderland playing a good game and Arsenal just having no luck, bro. How we didn't win that game is beyond me. I don't know how the ball stayed out of the net. So many times throughout that game where you thought it was in, or you thought it was just destined to go in, and it just didn't go. It's just one of those games, bro. It's absolutely one of those games. I think that's why I can kind of very easily shake it off. That's not going to happen week in, week out. We controlled the game from start to finish. We absolutely dominated the game. But for Sunderland to score 2 goals with 2 shots on target, that doesn't happen, often. For David Raya to make such a sloppy mistake, in particular for that second goal, which is a great goal by Brian Brobby, by the way, a nice bicycle kick. But if Raya stays on his line, that's one of the most comfortable saves he makes all season. But yeah, look, job was made difficult already with the start. Victor Gyökeres was injured, so Mikel Merino started up top. Got an assist for Bukayo Saka's goal, which obviously is a good sign. And I have a lot of faith in Mikel Merino up top, but it's still not ideal. So I think this is why the international break has come at a really good time for Arsenal. After the international break, we have so many attacking reinforcements coming back. Odegaard's coming back. Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, Martinelli. We are going to be stacked up top again, which is an absolute game changer for Arsenal. We haven't had these types of attacking options for the whole season so far. And I think the real difference maker here is the fact that there are such different profiles. If we play a game with Victor Gyökeres and then bring on Gabriel Jesus, that's a whole new problem for the opponents to deal with. They play a completely different style of football. Same goes with if you swap out Kai Havertz for anybody on the pitch. He's versatile. Could even bring him in at left back. We saw him do it for Germany. He got a goal there. And with the way Calafiori plays, I feel like Havertz could weirdly play a similar role, although I'm in no hurry to take Calafiori out of the starting lineup. He started in this game. He was less chaotic than he's been lately, which I think was a good thing. But yeah, look, hats off to Sunderland at the end of the day, regardless of Arsenal's setup, their injuries, you have to play with the team you have. You got to win who's in front of you. Sunderland very nearly did that. I am bummed that obviously we conceded 2. I do want that Chelsea record, but now that we've conceded 2, I kind of feel like it's also eased the pressure a bit more, and I care about it less. And I just want to see Arsenal stringing together some consistent wins so that we can lock down this Premier League title. But this game was an eye-opener. And I do think that Sunderland are also being a little disrespected. Like a lot of people have had a laugh at Arsenal for conceding 2 against Sunderland, but they are 4th in the league table. They did beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Let's not act like this team or some bottom of the log team that we played against. We didn't lose to Wolves or anything like that. We lost to Sunderland. It's a team punching way above their weight. It's a team that, you look at Liverpool for all their flaws right now. I think a lot of that is because they're having to integrate new players into their team. Sunderland bought like 11 players and they are currently 4th. What their manager is doing there is nothing short of amazing. So I think that they are where they are on absolute merit. It's not at all by chance. It's by design. So a lot of people should give them more credit, I feel. And while Man United did obviously get a win against them, that was then, this is now. Football's always changing. Sunderland are getting better every week, I feel. This is another massive result for them. Yes, they didn't win, but to get a point against league leaders Arsenal in your promotion season to the Premier League, that's kind of priceless. So yeah, I think that Sunderland definitely need more respect. I think Arsenal definitely need a break. Martin Zubimendi so close to scoring a goal of the season contender, bro, but it just wasn't meant to be. Like I say, absolutely just terrible luck at the office this weekend. But I'm not losing sleep over it. I think we're going to come back with a win against Spurs after the international break. And then from then on, it's just business as usual. We move on to win the league. But let me know, should Arsenal be concerned about anything from that game? Because I genuinely don't. Newcastle, I think, had the biggest shock of the weekend, losing 3-1 to Brentford, getting a red card to Dan Burn in the process. The terrible season continues for Eddie Howe. League season, at least. Another situation, same at Liverpool in Europe. They're doing fine. But what a result for Brentford. They're slowly and quietly turning things around. And yeah, this is another massive scalp for them. I think that Newcastle, bro, you gotta ask questions. They kind of had no excuse to lose the game. At least not like that. This is another one where it's like, yeah, maybe you could have called a win for Brentford, but 3-1, bro, shouldn't have been that comfortable. And I think that it is a problem for Eddie Howe that he's going to have to deal with. He's definitely got credit in the bank. I've said it before on the show. He won the trophy with them last season. He's also doing well in the Champions League. But in this international break, he's going to need to put in some serious work in this team, bro. Because in the Premier League, they're not cutting it. And to lose like that to Brentford, which should have been at least 1 point, I don't think it's going to go unnoticed by the higher ups. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is more pressure on Eddie Howe at the moment. But yeah, for me, that was definitely the biggest surprise of the weekend. A close second to that was Aston Villa smashing Bournemouth 4-0. Now, I know that Bournemouth aren't the greatest team in the league, but they are a good team. And we've seen them hurt a lot better clubs than Aston Villa this season already. But to lose 4-0 is like, have they completely lost all their steam already? Are they cooked? That's another reason why I think that they could also probably use the international break at this moment. Maybe they are just gassed. They've been working their socks off to get the results that they've been getting lately. So maybe they need the break. But 4-0 against Aston Villa at Villa Park, I think I said in the preview, I always back Villa at Villa Park. But yeah, 4-0 for Bournemouth, that is really bad. For Unai Emery, that is another step forward in a season that he is slowly but surely saving. And speaking of saving seasons, Nuno Espirito Santo got another win with West Ham. Almost threw it away at the end. Burnley mounted a very late comeback, getting a second goal. But done and dusted, they got the result in the end. Huge win for West Ham as well, even though that they would have wanted to win by a much more comfortable margin. I think they'll take whatever points they can get at the moment. Understandably so, they've had a terrible season. But yeah, things quietly turning around for West Ham as well. Chelsea were the latest team to give Wolves a defeat, a 3-0 win comfortably. So João Pedro getting on the score sheet again. Estevao, bro, this kid is not to be played with. He is a serious baller, like genuinely. Chelsea got themselves a very scary prospect on their hands, and I can only hope that things don't go their way for the next few seasons so that Real Madrid can come a knocking, because I am worried about this kid. I can't lie. Already at his age, he's putting in performances like this consistently. He's got to start more. He's got to play more, but yeah, deserve win for Chelsea. Nottingham Forest got a win against Leeds. Sean Dyche making it back-to-back points weekends for them. At least 3-1 against Leeds. Good win for them. They definitely needed it. Everton beat Fulham 2-0 as well. It's another win that I think Everton needed. Slowly but surely, slow and steady wins the race. Everton aren't going for a title race here. They're just looking for some Premier League consistency. And I think they're slowly stringing it together. And then Crystal Palace got a 0-0 draw, which definitely not what they needed, considering how things have been going in recent weeks. But again, another club where I think that this break comes at a very good time for. So that does it for the weekend's results. Let me know your thoughts on how things went in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like I said, the goal is 200 subs by Christmas. Please, if you can help me get there, I would appreciate it a whole lot. Don't forget to like the video if you did enjoy it as well, and I'll catch you in the next one.